Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warship Blitz. This time it's a tier 6 match, a team match in a Leander. I have on my team Stephen King, who's there in the Farragut, and on the other side in the Pensacola we have S. Wellington, who invited me to a game. We are on the New Dawn map, 3 capture points. Steve on the far flank is basically trying to get everybody together, saying go for the A cap, going for the B cap, which is pretty sound advice. That means bringing the force together, and of course in the cruiser, if he starts heading off that direction, the destroyers will start to make that choice as well, although they look as though they might be heading out to sea. So what I do here is I'm providing cover for Steve, so I'm heading in between the A and the B cap, seeing as the A is getting captured, or has been captured. We need to get some points from somewhere, so this way I can provide covering fire for Steve and I can potentially capture point B. So we go for that Fubuki, get some hits on him, I think. Yep, get 7 hits on him, and then we realise there's a Sims. The Fubuki is, now I think I've missed that Sims, but the Fubuki is a bot. That Sims is definitely not a bot. So what I've done here is I've pulled up some smoke. I'm sort of moving backwards and forwards in it to try and make sure that they don't get too much of a target on me. Some torpedoes to discourage that French cruiser from coming around this side of the island, and then we start hammering him with gunfire, because somewhere in there I have a teammate who needs some covering fire. But as it turns out, the Fuso that's heading in there, which is a bot, gets most of their attention, which is somewhat fortunate. And so at this point, my spoke's dissipating, and I really need to go and provide some more positive support for Steve. Okay, nice miss there. Hitting a turning target or missing a turning target. So we start to pour some fire into the Sims, head in towards him, so that if he's firing his torpedoes, I've got an easier job dodging them. And we keep hitting him with gunfire. He's nearly down. One more shot, 7 seconds to reload. Bang, that should do it. And then we draw our attention, and off to the left we have a ship that hits us, and right, that's not good. Fortunately, my smoke's recovered. Fire some torpedoes off from the cover of the smoke. So he can still hit me, it's fairly close range, but he won't be able to hit me quite as cleanly. And because he's turned to his right, it gives me an opportunity to slip out the other side of the smoke, put most of the smoke screen between me and him, and give him a string of torpedoes. And I run into the island. And for those that know my cruiser style, I normally get at least one good broadside from a battleship during the course of the game, and that was it. So I'm off to deal with this Fubuki. I'm sure that I've weakened him as much as I can in my Leander. It's up to Steve now in the Farragut with 8 torpedoes, 2 lots of 4. I'm sure he can deal with that New Mexico, and I'll try and deal with this Fubuki, which as a bot is at least gratefully not firing any torpedoes, but is shooting his guns, which with the limited amount of health I have left isn't really that welcome. Right, it takes me a bit of time to put him in the ground because, well, I think those went too far. Because bots, they don't really turn or move logically. Now, if I zoom out for a second, you can see either that's the same New Mexico who's or perhaps it's a new one. It's hard to tell. Actually, it's coming in from, I suspect that Steve must have sunk the other New Mexico, and that's a new one. Anyway, the Fubuki's down. The match is looking pretty tight, 346 to 385. We've got some pretty shaky looking ships, if I'm anything to go by. Steve's looking pretty healthy, but still, relying on the health of a destroyer to carry you through is not ideal. And this Fiji's coming in to try and save the day, which he may well do because he's actually very healthy. I give a spread, or I don't give a spread. I fire a sort of and what I'd call a manual narrow spread. And fortunately Steve must have had one tube. He landed some pretty significant hits on that Fiji, and with that it's just the New Mexico, which had low enough health that even my 150mm guns could take him out. And then off to my left, coming from the other side of the battle and looking well worn, is S. Wellington, who's and we both of us need to capture this target area. There's 541 to 532, and by the time we get inside and flip it, the points won't be in our favour. So it's a real race to get these cruisers up inside the capture zone, and here we go. There's a battleship out there, which isn't good, and there's this destroyer, which is, well, a lot better than having the battleship enter the far side of the cap, that's for certain. So I fire another random spread of torpedoes, and I basically let him have it with my guns. Steve fires at the same time, and that poor Farragut doesn't have a chance, winning us the match very narrowly. So yeah, that was pretty exciting. Few things that the Fiji's not ideal at dealing with, like New Mexico's, but we got there in the end, and earning a Confederate battle star and a Iron Fortress. So good little battle in the Leander. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and see you next time.